तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभिषितं स्थापितमेनं भूतले स्वयं रूपकराय यदापि स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देहं गोपीतिकं श्रीं वैष्णवाक्षर श्रीरूपं साधुजातं च अस्माकं पात्रजीव नामदेकं सारूपपर्यन्ते तत्पुरुषेण श्रीराधा कृष्ण सर्वना ललिता श्री विशाखावतांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश भक्तदाता राधाकान्तानमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां वैष्णवेभ्यो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा this discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, passages written by His Divine Grace Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Right now we are in shloka number 4.16. We were talking about the battle of Kurukshetra. Let us recap what we did. So in chapter 4, right now we had gone through Krishna teaches and establishes Dharma. Krishna is goal and creator of all paths. We concluded this and then we started from shloka number 16 where we were looking at the example of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Some questions with Bhima. First he was asking questions with Bhima, then the sages of Krishna. Everybody wanted to convince him to become the emperor of the world, but Yudhishthira was unwilling to do this. So that is where we started. Let us read the sloka and then go get into the episode. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayoru api atra mohita tatte karma pravakshami yajnatva mokshayasi subhala. Even in the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. The time Yudhishthira pointed out, so we are talking about discussion between Bhima and Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira is thinking that the battle was fought and it was unnecessary to kill so many people for him to become the emperor. So the time during this argument, Yudhishthira is pointing out that Yudhishthira is fighting a battle which is with his uncontrolled mind. So he has to win this first. This is very important. To counter this, Yudhishthira, so he was this was the argument which the other people were telling Yudhishthira that he has to win his battle against the mind because his uncontrolled mind is not allowing him to do what is correct. So Yudhishthira says that the uncontrolled mind is always cluttering and it is always going towards attachment. Whereas here, Yudhishthira is trying to renounce the world. So his mind is not uncontrolled, and hence he smashes this argument from the people who are asking him to become the king, the emperor of the world. So Yudhishthira concludes that he is detached and hence he is renouncing. And he points out that it is the mind of Bhima which is uncontrolled, because of which this karma was this argument goes on. Finally, Krishna takes Yudhishthira Maharaj to Bhishma Pitama. Bhishma Pitama gives various philosophy, and the final thing that he tells is that it is we need to do what is the will of the Lord. It was the will of the Lord that battle took place. It is the Lord's will that Yudhishthira has to become the king. So it is good for Yudhishthira to become the king. Essentially, the point is that Everything is Lord's plan. It is hard to understand Lord's plan, but if we act according to His will, Krishna's will, then everything will be auspicious, and everything auspicious will happen to Yudhishthira. So Bhishma Pitamaha, he himself was an example. So I'll share my screen here. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is an interesting shloka, तथापि एकान्तभक्तेषु पश्य भूमानुकम्पितं यज्ञे असंस्यागत साक्षात् कृष्णो दर्शनमागतः. Yet, despite this being equally kind to everyone, he has graciously come before me while I am lying ending of my life, for I am his unflinching servitor. So Bhishma Pitama instructs Yudhishthira execute the will of the equally kind to everyone. He has graciously come before me while I am ending my life. So Bhishma instructs Yudhishthira to execute the will of Lord. Thus we see that Yudhishthira, who is capable of answering all the questions of Yaksha. So the point is that a person as good as Yudhishthira, as wise as shrewd, sagacious like Yudhishthira, who was capable of answering all the questions of Yaksha. There is one specific episode in Mahabharata with where Lord Dharma, who is Yamadharma Raja personified, comes in the form of Yaksha, who in turn comes in the form of a bird, a crane, and he has various questions. But Yudhishthira Maharaj answers all the questions. But now we see that after the war, he is bewildered. Therefore, what is action? What is inaction? People can get easily bewildered. That is why it is important to intelligent and bewildered in determining what is action and inaction. So Yudhishthira Maharaj got bewildered. Kavayorapi atra mohita. So great sages were impressed of the learning of Yudhishthira. Even he got bewildered. So this type of question, should we act or not, should we not act, is always there. So in the second paragraph, Srila Prabhupada is quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, Dharma to Shakshat Bhagavad Pranita. No one can manufacture religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, Kumara, Kapila, Prahlada, Bhishma, Shukadev Goswami, Yamaraj, Chanaka, and Bali Maharaj. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Therefore, out of cosmos mystery to his devotee, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is, what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from entanglement of material existence. So this is very important thing for us to understand. So Krishna is going to explain this in the next shloka. Let us go to the next shloka. 4.117. Karmano hi api bodavyam cha vikarmanah akarmanascha bodavyam kahana karmano gati. So Krishna is now teaching Arjuna three things, which is karma, then vikarma, and then akarma. So we need to understand this. Let us go to translation. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So, Gahana means very difficult to fathom. Therefore, to understand karma, it is very, very difficult. In Sri Ishopanishad Shloka number 2, कुर्वन्नेव इव कर्मणि जिजी विशेष शतम सम एवं स्वयं नान्यते तो अस्ति न कर्म लिप्यते हरे. This shloka, Prabhupada writes, one may aspire, translates this as one may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in that way. But that sort of work will not bind him to law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for man. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving the definition. Other life forms are also subject to cycle of birth and death. But when living entity attains a human life, he gets chance to get free from chains of karma. Karma, akarma, vikarma are very clearly described in Bhagavad. Actions that are performed in terms of one's prescribed duty, as mentioned in tribal scriptures, are called karma. Actions that free one from cycle of birth and death are called as akarma. And actions that are performed through misuse of one's freedom and that direct one to the lower forms are called as vikarma. So this is interesting definition. This is something which we need to understand in a very deeper sense. So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is pointing out that this system of karma, understanding what action will bring, what reaction will bring, is very complex. Essentially, we need to understand these 3 points. First is certain actions bring good reactions, certain actions bring bad reactions, certain actions bring no reaction. So after this, Krishna will recommend to do akarma. Krishna explains and gives these terms by himself. So let us go to the next shloka in Bhagavad Gita as it is. Text number 80. Karmani akarmana pashe, karmani cha karmaiha, sabuddhiman manusheshu, sayukta, krishna karma krit. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent of men and is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. Krishna is making the point that good understanding of karma, akarma, vikarma will put a position in a put a person in a good position that he will not get entangled in reactions of Krishna. So Krishna here is using a Upanishadic style, this type of word jugglery which we see here is an Upanishadic style to titillate the minds of intellectuals. These verses are tongue twister as well as brain twister. So let us see the definition in a much more detailed way. So action in inaction, inaction in action. What is action? Actions that are performed in terms of one's prescribed duties as mentioned in previous scripture. That is karma. Inaction is action that frees one from cycle of birth and death are called as akarma. Action causing sinful reaction. And actions that are performed through misuse of one's freedom and direct one to lower life forms are called as vikarma. This is taken from this is definition as it is there in the as it is there in Ishwara. So action is something when we do work, we are doing some karma and reaction. So let us do there are 4 meanings of karma. Whatever action means karma. So karma has 4 meanings in general. One is action, second meaning is reaction, third meaning is system of action and reaction. Fourth is this one type of action which is pious action, which we saw in the previous slide. So action is in general when we do some work, we are doing some karma. So this is action. Reaction means karma can also be reaction. We typically say that it is my karma that I am suffering this. I am sick because because of my bad karma, because of my karma. Here karma refers to reaction. So the sickness or suffering is because of our karma. That is what it says, reaction. Then system of action and reaction. This is also called as karma. Karma is also used. So when we say that nobody can escape karma. It means that nobody can escape laws of karma, which in turn means system of action and reaction. If we do some action, there is always some reaction. So this is law of karma, which is system of action and reaction. Then one type of action, pious action, is also called as karma. So if you see in Bhagavad Gita 4.17, let's just go to the previous one. कर्मणो हि अपि बोधव्यं बोधव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोधव्यं गहना कर्मणो गति. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So this action, the positive action. So that is karma. So the word karma has four meanings. Similarly, the word akarma also has some meaning, some number of meanings, which is two meanings. So first meaning is inaction, which is converse to action. Karma is action, akarma is inaction. Then akarma also means action which has no reaction. How is this possible? When we do some action in our own accord, then it produces, then its own accord, it should produce some reaction. So, akarma is something, when we act on behalf of Krishna, then there is no reaction. A soldier, Srila Prabhupada usually gives the example of a soldier. A soldier is not punished when he kills an enemy in a battlefield. However, he is punished when he kills his neighbor. In either case, there is killing, one on behalf of the country and other on behalf of the self-interest of the man. Thus, in the first case, he would be rewarded. On contrary to that, he would be punished for the second action. This is an example of akarma. So, soldier acting for country is awarded. Jiva acting for Krishna is free from sin. So that action does not have any reaction. The point is that when we act for on behalf of Krishna, who is the highest authority, we are not bound by laws of karma. When we act on behalf of our own interest, we are bound by laws of karma. The action that we do on behalf of Krishna does not promote any reaction. So now let us understand two important lines in this sloka. Karmani akarmana ya pashe, akarmani cha karma yaha. So akarma means in this line, no karmic reaction. See in external activity, no karmic reaction. So Arjuna's fighting leads to no karmic reaction. Karmani akarmana ya pashe. So Arjuna's fighting is a karma. But because he is fighting for Krishna, there is no karma in action. Then akarmani cha karma yaha. Akarma means no external activity. Arjuna's silent meditating leads to karmic reaction. Arjuna is not fighting, but he is doing silent meditation. So this inaction, no action, results in karma. So this karma is no action. So this is going to be binding. So action of the four meanings of karma. First one, karmani is action. Akarma is action that produces no reaction. So this is akarma. This is karma. So then this akarmani, this inaction actually results in reaction. It results in activity. It results in some fruits. So Arjuna's fighting leads to no karmic reaction. This is because Arjuna is not uh, uh, Arjuna is not fighting for himself, but he is fighting for Lord under his instruction. Thus, there is no reactionary one. Akarmani check karmaya pashe. So there is no external activity, but Arjuna's silent meditation results in karmic reaction because He is not acting for Krishna, but he is acting for his self-interest. Sannyasis have broken the bondage from the world. They are not meant to get back into bondage. That is why they said that sannyasi should not cross and go to lands across the nation. This may bind them to karma. So Krishna, when we see Srila Prabhupada, he crossed the ocean. That was an action. But these areas, why sannyasis were not allowed to cross the oceans? Because these areas were materialistic. They were all contaminated. Western countries are contaminated even 100 years back. By this, sannyasis may get material desires, which may result in contamination and hence result in their fall. So traditional Hindu sannyasis never crossed the ocean. This is true at one level because sannyasi should not get contaminated due to bad association, hence fall. But Srila Prabhupada actually saw what? Karmani akarmanaya pashya. I am going to act crossing the ocean according to my following the instruction of my Guru Maharaj, and hence it will result in spreading the Krishna conscious movement all over the world. Thus, the motive behind crossing the ocean is spreading Krishna consciousness. This is nothing but spreading the message of Krishna and sharing the love of Krishna all over the world. We see that Srila Prabhupada went to US. He did not become contaminated, but he transformed the most contaminated place in the world into Vaikuntha. He thus manifested the spiritual world wherever he went. One time, some devotees took Srila Prabhupada for a morning walk. During this, they missed the roads. The devotees were all new. Instead of going into a park, they entered slum. Slum is not aesthetically pleasing. It is dirty, it is smelly, and so on. So devotees apologized to Srila Prabhupada for this. Srila Prabhupada in turn said that we are in Vaikuntha. The devotees were surprised by Srila Prabhupada's comment. Srila Prabhupada explained that we are all Krishna conscious. We are all discussing Krishna consciousness. So there is Vaikuntha here. But there is a very interesting shloka in Padma Purana. This is the process of Shravanam Kirtanam. Vishnu. This is taken from shloka 4.3035 about Supreme Lord Krishna, as Supreme Lord himself confirms. Nana Tistami Vaikunte Yogina Hridayeshuva Tatra Tistami Narada Yatra Gayanti Madhvakta. My dear Narada, actually I do not reside in my house, Vaikuntha. Nor do I reside within the hearts of my yogis, of the yogis. But I reside in that place where my pure devotees chant my holy name and discuss my form, pastimes, and qualities. Essentially, the point that Prabhupada wants to make is that even if the place is unclean, if we glorify Krishna, if the devotees are engaged in glorifying Krishna, then that place becomes Vaikuntha, as Lord personally resides there. So it is very important. There is one more shloka, 3.6. Karmendriyani samyame yaste manasasmana indriyartan vidya achara sauchite. One who restrains. Okay, so this is going into the next point, which is in line with कर्माणि अकर्मणय पश्येत् अकर्मणि च कर्मयः स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु स युक्त कृष्ण कर्मकः. The point is that one who restrains senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So that means what? Even if one is externally detached, but internally thinks of sense objects, then he is bound by karmic reaction. So here, though he is a pretender, point here is that he is going to get bound by karmic reaction. This shloka talks from the moral standpoint of the Dharma. The thing is that Arjuna may renounce the world, Arjuna may renounce the world, but internally, Arjuna being Kshatriya, he may be able to renounce the world for momentary sense gratification. Externally, he may renounce and he can go to forest. Internally, he is a warrior with a fighting spirit. Thus, this renouncing is not thorough because internally he may still be thinking of fighting his enemies, while externally he may boast that he has renounced. Thus, morally, this is incorrect. Further, since he has renounced the world for his own satisfaction, he will be bound by reactions of. This is how BG 4.18 and 36 are related. So this inaction or inactivity is culpable even from the materialistic point of view. Doctor does not take proper care of the patient by giving the right care and the patient dies. Then doctor is punishable under the point of dereliction of duty or guilt by negligence. The doctor may say that he has not done anything. However, he is punishable under the laws of man. Another example is that thieves are plundering a house and police is just watching without any action. This is legally culpable. Therefore, if a person has a duty to perform, if he does not do this duty, this also causes bondage. So if Arjuna has to fight, but if he doesn't fight and leaves the place, then still he is bound by action. He may be pretender from the moral point of view, uh, but because he is not obeying to Lord Krishna's instruction and not doing his swadharma, he is bound to get reactions. This renouncing of duty, which Arjuna is talking about, is only an external show. But Arjuna will still be thinking of uh, why he should have probably fought a war. Then he becomes a pretender. Therefore, if the inaction is not pure and renouncing is not pure, if it is not rooted in Krishna consciousness, then it will bind the person into fruitive action and karmic bondage. And he is just a pretender. He knows by a wise heart that he is a pretender. The key point from this verse 4.18 is that we should go beyond the externals, look deeper, look within. Main point of the verse is that we look deeper. The person who looks deeper is intelligent and wise. So Buddhiman Manishesha, intelligent among the men, who sees not just the action, but something else which Krishna will explain in the next verse. यस्ते सर्वे समारंभ काम संकल्प वर्जित ज्ञान अग्नि दग्ध कर्माण कामाहो पंडितम हुदा. Now Krishna is going to describe how a karma yogi is acts. Shlokas 4.19 to 4.24 describe this. 4.18 describes the basic principle. So now if you see the Shlokas, chapter 4. So this is majorly focusing on Karma Yoga as Dharma. So main point between 4.19 to 4.24 is only Karma. Now let us go to the Shloka. यस्ते सर्वे समारंभ काम संकल्प वर्जित ज्ञान रत्नि तत्त कर्माणा कामाहु पंडितम हुदा. One is understood to be full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Fire of knowledge is burning the seed of karma. So this is very, very important. Krishna is using the word Pandita Buddha. Panditam Buddha. Panditam and Buddha may mean same, but Buddha means enlightened. Enlightened considers such a person to be intelligent. Here, Krishna is pointing out to Arjuna that people who are not that wise or Muda or ignorant, who have only superficial knowledge, will say that the person is acting, this person will get bound. This person is not acting, so he will not get bound and will get liberated. So, intelligent person will look deeper. Therefore, the wise people will call a person intelligent because he looks at a particular action at a deeper level. This is if it is a superficial view, then that person is called as a Mura. Because if somebody doesn't act, he says that he is in inaction and hence he will get liberated. And if we see some person acting, he will say that this person is acting and hence he will get wrong. So this superficial view uh, uh, is not okay. This is very superficial view, and for those people, those who are acting will be ignorant, and those who are not acting will be intelligent. So they will claim like this. This is complete superficial knowledge. And the people who are Buddha, who are wise, which Krishna is mentioning here, they will see deeper. They will see the person is acting, but he is not selfishly motivated. Thus, they will say that this person, because he is not selfishly motivated, he will be free from karmic bondage and hence will be liberated. Thus, the call from this verse is to give up selfish motives and to seek higher motives in life. Naturally, we will not act if we do. Naturally, if we do not have any desire, we will not act. Desire is something which makes us. Krishna is telling Kama Sankalpa Varjita. Kama Sankalpa means Kama based on desire for sense gratification. Sankalpa means determination. Varjita are devoid of. So we must have. So specific connotation of Kama is lust. In generic sense, it is selfish desire. Krishna will be talking about different levels of selflessness throughout the Bhagavad Gita. The topmost being divine selflessness, which is acting for will or pleasure or service of Supreme Personality of Godhead, which in turn is good for everyone. Thus, this drilling down to the point that one should not renounce one's action, but renounce selfishness, renounce attachment to the fruits. That is very, very important. The person who does it, does is considered as Pandita by Buddha. So if a person who is looking at the selfish motives or or selfless motive for an action, he is Pandita. And this is considered by intelligent people that this person is doing the right thing for judging whether a person will get liberated or not. Krishna is this telling to Arjuna. Yes, be meticulous renouncer, but renounce the selfishness, not the action. Thus ensure that no action is motivated by selfishness. Yasya sarve samaramba kama sankalpa varjita. That means you should not be attached to the self, it should be free from sense gratification, desire for sense gratification. We will, Krishna will explain this very well in the next shloka, shloka number 4.220. Tatta karma phalasanga nityakritto nirashraya karmani abhipravritto api naiva kinchit karoti sa. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activity, ever satisfied and independent. He performs no fruity lecture, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. So this is an explanation for how a person acts without attachment to the results of his activities. Like giving up karma phala sangha, attachment for the fruitive results. So Krishna is reiterating the point from the previous verse. The criteria to free oneself from reactions of birth is giving up attachment for the result or giving up, no, giving up the attachment for result and act for Krishna. So here majorly is selfish motive, sense gratification. Nirashraya means without any shelter. Krishna is not mentioning. So Nirashraya, Ashraya means shelter. Without any shelter, it doesn't mean that it is no shelter of Krishna. Krishna is not mentioning any superior spiritual being or devotional principles. Right? If you see the entire flow of Bhagavad Gita of chapter 4 and 3, let us go to chapter 3. So there is one shloka which is 35. So shloka number 35, Krishna is explaining the Bhagavad Gita. Let's go to shloka number. So Krishna is explaining the Karma Yoga up to shloka number 35. If you see shloka number 35, Shreyan Swadharma Viguna Paradharma Swanustita Swadharme Nidanam Shreya Parodharma Bhayavaha. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, though others' duties perfect, then others' duties perfectly. Distraction in course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in others' duty for to follow another's path is dangerous. So the point here is that Krishna was explaining Karma Yoga till shloka number 35. At shloka number 36, Arjuna is asking a question. Therefore, there is a little bit of detour. So, what is the detour? So, what is the asking? Shloka number 36. Arjuna Atakena Prayuntoya Papam Charati Purusha Anichenapi Vashneya Balad Eva Niyojita. So Krishna, Arjuna is asking question, what is preventing one from uh, doing work and impelled to sinful act sinfully, even unwillingly as if engaged by force? So this question Arjuna is asking. So now Krishna explains that in subsequent verses. So he says that it is because of lust. Kamesha Prodesha Rajo Guno Samudbhava Mahashano Mahapatma Vidyena Iravarina. So overcome lust. That is the main obstacle of Karma Yoga. So now this knowledge Krishna, which is, Krishna is giving to Arjuna about the what about the lust. So Krishna wants to emphasize the point that emphasize the point that this dharma which he is explaining is not something Krishna is made up now. It is something which he has given to Sun God Bhagavad. He has given to, so if you see the Bhagavad Gita, shloka number um, 4.1. Imam Vivasvate Yoga Proktovan Aham Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manu Ikshvaka Vibhav. So Krishna is then telling that I have given this knowledge to son God long back. But then Arjuna is coming out with another question here. Interestingly. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava Arjuna. So 4.4. परम भवतो जन्म परम जन्म विवस्वत कथम एतद् विजानीय त्वम् आदौ प्रोक्तवानिति. Arjuna, the son, Arjuna said, the sun god Vivasvan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? So this is shloka which Arjuna is asking. So from here till 4.14. So if you see chapter 4.5. So here it comes yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuktanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamya paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya chadushkrita dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge janma karma cha medivam evam yo vedi tattva tektadevam punarjanma neti mameti Arjuna. So, like that, Gita Raga Bhayaka Manmaya Mama Pashita, like that shlokas up to shloka number 14. Namam karmani limpanti, name karma palesvya iti mamyo abhijanati, karma bir nasa partyate. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in fruitive reactions of. So to understand Janma Karma of Lord, we have to learn, understand shloka number 4.5 to 4.1 very much. Then in 4.15, Krishna continues the theme of Karma Yoga. So if you see shloka number 4.15, it is he already starts talking about karma. 4.16 to 4.24, it is full of karma yoga. It is not karma yoga. It is very clearly understood. So 3.35, 3.35, there is a detour, and there are two questions asked. One question is about what is it preventing someone from doing this work and is forced to do sinful activities. So that is one question which Arjuna asks. And another question which he asks is aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvata katam nidat vijaniya tvamado proktavam. How am I to understand that you are instructed to sun God Vivasvata? So from 4.5 to 4.15, Krishna is talking about himself, how he is different, how to understand Krishna in a better way, how to understand Krishna Tattva. We have to, so these are the important shlokas. So in 4.16, he starts explaining the Evam Yatma Kritam Karma Purvai Rapi Mumukshipi Kuru Karmaeva Kasmata Purvai Purva Karmita. Okay, so this also talks about speciality about Krishna, 4.15. So 4.16 onwards, from 3.35, there was a detour up to 4.15. And from 4.16 onwards, there is clear, once again, clear direction on what is Karma Yoga, 4.16. So now, we will see that Krishna is going to explain Karma Yoga in a much deeper sense, up to 4.24. We will see in detail about these shlokas in coming classes. Thank you very much for joining this discussion. Vacha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvaya पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो ग्रंथराज भगवत गीता की जय। जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंद हरे हरे कृष्णा। थैंक यू वेरी मच।